afternoon, good evening, good whatever it is. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. It's been a strange week, for me anyway. I've been looking forward to seeing some Speedway because Birmingham have their first match tomorrow against Scunthorpe, and really excited about it, more than I've been excited about the Speedway season for quite a while. And then all the news came yesterday, which sort of deflated me and has probably deflated everybody. The news that, as it stands, Wolverhampton Speedway won't be with us after this year. I mean, I don't know how Matt is feeling opposite me. I imagine he's still in shock a little bit. Yeah,
I've had better days.
Yeah,
to be honest.
yeah. I mean, the only thing I will say is don't give up hope. But the problem that Speedway has always had is we're a borrowed sport. We borrow other people's stadiums. And if we want to have any sort of longevity, that's got to change. And you look at the number of clubs that have been manned with greyhound stadiums, and we're at the whim of that stadium all the time. It happened to Oxford. It happened to Birmingham previously, and nearly happened to them again. It happened to Wolverhampton before now, which, you know, is something to cling on to, that it has happened before, but you've come back from it. But at the end of the day, really the only way forward is to do what Somerset so very nearly did, what Bellevue are doing now. I think not Glasgow. There's a few other bits and pieces around, and it's, we've got to have our own stadiums. That's, even if it means going back to basics and just a track and a hut, you know. I think that's what it's got to be. I know that Nigel Tully, for instance, has mentioned I think it was in a Speedway Star interview, that they're sort of looking at that as an option, looking for to move Birmingham somewhere so that it's not at the whim of the greyhound people. But none of this helps you at the moment, Matt. So all I can say is keep hoping, and let's just see what the news brings. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I hope Wolverhampton win everything this year. So yeah, it's. I've gone from really looking forward to tomorrow's match, and I am looking forward to tomorrow's match. So when we have some answers.
Can we go back 3 weeks to when we did that show when everybody when it was positive story after positive story?
It would be nice, wouldn't it? Only in Speedway.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I don't mean this to sound callous or anything, but we've sort of got used to it a little bit, haven't we? Clubs folding and news of, you know. Yeah, but the club's going to be there, but when it's your own club, it sort of.
And also, I think there are certain clubs that if they close down, it hits hard. Coventry being one of them, and that hit hard everybody. If Bellevue ever closed, that would hit everybody hard, and I think Wolverhampton is one of those clubs.
Well, I don't say this because it's my club, but this is a huge. You know, this is going to send huge shockwaves. I mean, you've seen the reaction, which has been astonishing from so many people, not just in the city of Wolverhampton and the Black Country, but people around in the rest of the sport as well.
Absolutely.
Bellevue immediately, you know, putting a message out on Twitter saying that they stand with us. You know, and there's been a strong rivalry between us and Bellevue in the last few seasons, but fair play to them for doing that.
Yeah, I think we all feel that way.
But when you're looking at a club like Wolves, which is, I mean, we're one of the most, we've always been sort of at this tradition of being a very, very stable club. You know, never any issues financially, never any rumours about riders not being paid money. We've got a promoter in Chris Van Stratton who's been there for 37 years. His family's been involved in the club as well. And the club really, when he took over in the middle of '86, it had sort of had this reputation as being sort of run on a bit of a whim and not never really been particularly successful. But Chris and his family and the rest of the promotion have worked so hard over these last nearly 40 years to make it such a stable club. And then we had that 90s period, which was phenomenal, where we had so much success. And I can remember Chris always saying that, for years we never won anything. Now we've got to find somewhere to buy a cabinet because we're winning everything.
Yeah.
And it was just some of the best. I mean, my first match at Wolves was 1990, although the first season I can remember was 92 properly. And some of my best memories have been watching Speedway in that stadium. And now we're facing a situation where we don't know what's going to happen next.
It doesn't sound great with what's been put out, but
well,
we have to hope there's stuff happening.
To be fair to Chris Van Stratton, Chris is one of the most positive people around. But I heard him on the local radio yesterday and sounded really, really deflated. I think it's really in anything because of the shock. I just don't think it was. There was talk. There was talk even a few weeks ago that they were being offered a 4-year deal.
Right.
Which, of course, Chris, ever since he's been running the club, has always operated on a rolling 3-year contract.
Right.
So then to get this news that it's a 1-year contract and that's it, you're out at the end of 2023. It's to be hoped. I think the only realistic hope is that somewhere along the line the owners of the stadium change their minds, which I don't think Chris is particularly hopeful of. From what.
So that was what I mean. Get me head around this. I mean, was there absolutely no inkling at all of anything like this?
No,
absolutely nothing whatsoever. This is what's sort of come as a complete shock to everybody.
But it's come so suddenly that there must have been somebody who knew something.
Well, Chris has known about it for a month.
Okay.
But obviously he didn't want it to sort of overshadow the start of the season with, Sam Masters' testimonial and all the build up to the new season, which is again has been so positive, even though it's not a Wolves team that's not really been fancied that heavily.
You've had good crowds from what I've heard this year as well. They've been quite
well. That's the one thing. There's always been, I think the club sailed close to the wind really during the pandemic. I think losing that 1 year really did badly affect Wolves, and Chris Van Stratton's already gone on record as saying that he's indebted to the supporters that when the decision was made that there was going to be no Speedway in 2020, there was an offer made to reimburse all the supporters who'd bought season tickets, and pretty much everybody said leave the money in the club, and he's said that money really kept the club alive because even though there was no Speedway in 2020, there were still bills to pay and rent to pay. So that all needed to be sorted out. And, I think, the Wolverhampton have always had good. I think Chris Van Stratton said years ago, I don't think there's any sport in the country that's got better fans than Wolverhampton. Might have as good as, but not better, because they've been very, very loyal. Every week at Monmouth Green, there's a really good there's really big crowds there. It certainly is sustainable as a business. There's no doubt about that. Where the future holds us now is whether that's if there's some hope of being able to rescue a deal at Monmouth, or whether it involves being staged in another venue. Now, obviously, even though I'm a Wolverhampton fan, I can't claim to know the geography of the area of Wolverhampton and the surrounding area that well. So I think if there's anybody out there that's got a piece of land that they're sort of stuck with anything to do with them, I'm sure that the Wolves promotion would be quite grateful to hear from them.
Or a very big garden.
Yeah, very big. Or a very small garden if you want to recreate Rye House. Sorry, an old dig, that one. It's a rot that's got to be stopped in Speedway.
And it comes on the back hot on the heels of obviously the announcements about Peterborough as well. Peterborough obviously have pretty much said that there's not very much chance of them being able to run
next year
after 2023, and all of a sudden all that positivity that was built up with some of these big names coming back to the league, and the appointment of Phil Morris as the new CEO of the Premiership, which I still think is a very good move. And suddenly in a position where there's going to be possibly two clubs at least may not be coming to the tapes in 2023, 2024.
We're very much, if that happens, and let's hope that it doesn't, but if that happens, we're very much in a scenario we've got to go to one league, haven't we? You would have thought.
Well, they're running out of options now, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, I think there's always been a reluctance to go back to it because it didn't work so well in the 90s when it was tried before. But I think at this stage, there's just not going to be enough teams. You can't have a team. You can't have a league with 5 teams in it. You can bet. I mean, they tried for a couple of years with 6 teams, which was weak. But you can't go with 5 teams.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Well, shall we catch up with?
There's quite a lot.
Yeah, I bet there is as well.
Want to start at the beginning?
Yeah. Just chuck them out. Just chuck them out.
There we go. I'll start with Dylan. Evening, chaps. Finally able to tune in live. Good to be back. Sad news about Wolves, but the way the Speedway community is united over the past 24 hours, it fills the heart. It's not over till it's over. We were talking about that earlier, weren't we? It seems no stadium is safe. We have to be vigilant. Good luck to Wolves and everybody. Everyone must do their part.
Can I just elaborate there on what Jim said there?
Yeah.
That is absolutely spot on because this is why I think there's been such an extreme reaction from even from the BSBL, because if there's one club that I think anybody didn't expect this to happen to, it would have been Wolves.
Absolutely.
It looked as safe as houses, and this has suddenly come completely out of the blue as well.
I think Speedway needs to look very, very, very hard at its future. I mean, you look at the things that where they're at ground stadiums. The problem with the ground stadiums is that they're not making money themselves anymore.
Well, they're making money from the online, from doing
just from online, but
stuff,
they don't really need all the shenanigans, if you can put it that way, of a stadium, do they? They don't need the lights being on. They don't need to employ. If it was just they could just go totally online, couldn't they? Which would mean less people to employ, less electricity being used, etc., etc., etc. And in this day and age of the energy crisis, that's big, and that's why I say we need to get ourselves off the heels of greyhound stadiums and other stadiums. And we need to find a way of making our own stadiums. Even if it's just a track in the
middle of a field with no facilities there.
We need to start that process. I mean, that's how Somerset started, wasn't it?
Yep.
And it got better and better and better. It's a shame.
Obviously COVID was the main.
Yeah.
If you're on Somerset going.
Yeah.
In other words, keeping the name alive, I suppose that's what it's.
Well, keeping Speedway alive for the fans, because it can only come back if there are fans there to watch it. Anyway.
And this is a hotbed of Speedway, this area.
It was.
And we're now facing the prospect, very real prospect, that Birmingham is going to be the only place to watch Speedway in the Midlands.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Next year.
Carry on.
I'll get some decent crowds then. Sorry.
Yeah, that's not... Yeah, I really wasn't going to say anything along those lines because it's just...
I really think Sport England need to step in with regards to Wolves' situation, and even Peterborough. I feel they can do more to avoid this scenario. Councils need to help as well. Wolves is the second longest running Speedway team behind Bellevue, founded in 1928. Surely that history counts as something.
95 years Speedway's been at Monmouth.
That's a long time, isn't it?
There was a short break, wasn't there?
Short break, but obviously it's not 95 years continuous. But
yeah. I think Birmingham's originally ran from 1928 as well. But obviously,
I'm sure there's somebody typing the answer to that.
I'm sure. Any chance of us seeing a little bit more of that page? Because I can't. It's cutting off at the end.
Okay.
So for me. But anyway, you carry on reading them out anyway.
I'll just go back to the rumour from Robert Greenwood. Says rumours circulated that Chris Van Stratton may run the Red Car Bears in the top flight. Anyone heard this? And
no chance.
Yeah, and Dylan says take it with a pinch of salt.
Why are you saying no chance?
Well, I don't think I think he's more of a sleeping partner at Red Car. He's certainly not as heavily involved as he is at Wolves, and of course, obviously as a Midland man, I think it's very, very unlikely that he would sort of up sticks and move the Red Car operation. I mean, I think he's on the floor at the moment, obviously, which is understandable. But
he's had a bad few years, one thing and another, hasn't he?
He has. I mean, he's obviously had his health scared a few years ago. The COVID situation, of course, as I say earlier, didn't help. It's just been a tough few years for CVS, and this is one of the well, I think he's now the longest serving promoter. I think he's been a promoter of Speedo since the early 70s. He started at Stoke back in 73. and he's one of the few promoters that really sort of promotes it for love of the sport. So.
Okay.
Rich says, I was watching a match from 1991. In an interview pre-meeting, John Davis was saying back then that promoters need to up their game before Speedway dies in this country. But most seem to have done very little to help the sport rather than protect their own interest.
I'm not entirely sure I agree with everything there. I don't think there's anything any Speedway promoter can do about a stadium owner saying, you're not racing here anymore, no matter how well they promote it. And Wolverhampton is probably one of the better promoted teams, I would say. I mean, we have complained about that sort of thing before, that they need to up their game and so on and so forth, but
there's always been a good relationship though between the. I mean, Chris has said even the staff that work at the stadium are completely shocked when they found out.
So, see, what I have to worry about and wonder is this a Coventry situation where they want to get rid of the stadium and maybe make houses, and they don't want to make the same mistakes that Coventry made, so we'll get rid of the Speedway first. That's out the way, that's out of the equation. They can't say, oh, we want our stadium back because they ain't got one, etc., etc. I wonder whether there's this is a total guess on my part, so don't anybody go out on Facebook saying, oh, they want to sell the stadium. Okay. I don't want that coming back to me. But, it just makes me wonder because it's such a successfully run club, because they have such good crowds, because it must be pulling in an income for the Greyhound as well as for the Speedway. I have to wonder what's behind it.
Yeah.
Well, bear in mind it is in the middle of an industrial estate as well, so it's not right slap bang in the middle of other houses.
Right.
It's ideally placed really for Speedway because it's right close to the centre of Wolverhampton. There's good bus routes there. There's obviously got the metro as well.
Yeah, it's easy to get to.
There's no houses really anywhere near it, so there's nobody to residents to annoy. So.
Okay, keep them coming.
I'm pretty sure the stadium owners get a steady income with Speedway being run at the stadium. There's always been a decent crowd at Monmore each week. Can the Greyhounds make enough money to keep that stadium open? I fear it won't look at how quick Bellevue Dogs went after the Speedway moved next door. That's what we just.
Well, I don't think. First thing they say about that is I don't think as the size of the crowd makes a difference to the Greyhound because they get the money that they get for the lease. Although they will get the subsidiaries like the beer and the sale on that, and they do quite well with that at Wolverhampton, I think. So I'm not sure that there's that makes into it, but also as we mentioned before, the Greyhound Stadium itself, if they go to online only, which a lot, that happens to be happening, because it's the betting that they get their money from. Really, if they go online only, then they don't have to pay the staff, the bar staff, and the extra security, and there's more electricity that they don't have to pay. They don't have to toilet facilities. There's a lot of savings they can make on that just by doing that. I hope nobody from the ground is listening to this and I'm putting ideas in their head. By the way. So, I don't know.
Mother Book says it seems that no Speedway venue is safe from the creeping greed of outsiders. Monmore Green Stadium already stages greyhound racing.
6 nights a week. 6 nights a week. Mondays
6 nights a week?
Yeah.
That's unusual for greyhounds.
Monday's the only one that doesn't stage the greyhounds because wolves are there.
Right, okay. Usually find it's like a
and I would imagine most of that's from online. I mean, you're not going to fill a stadium that size 6 nights a week.
No chance.
No, I just imagine Saturday nights are probably
It's Perry Ball, full for the dogs.
Whenever I've gone past it, it looks empty.
Yeah. You should get a few people. So, if I have this right, has the owners breached their contract when they changed their minds, says Rachel Francesca.
Don't think so.
Probably not. It's probably best not to sort of make comments about that too much.
It's probably just that it's up for renewal. Yeah, and I've decided not to renew
3-year deal. Yeah, standard 3-year deal has always been the case, but this time obviously it's a 1-year deal with find somewhere else afterwards. You're not coming in.
Robert's saying, could Sheffield have the same issue in the future as they also share a greyhound stadium?
This is the problem.
Yep.
I mean, we've had our issues, which with the greyhound stadium, which we've thankfully have been all ironed out and sorted, and everything seems to be okay. But who knows what might? And that was due to a change in management at the stadium. Now, who knows in the future? You just don't know. You're always living on your next leasehold deal.
Yep. It's almost a hand-to-mouth existence, isn't it, really?
And until we can find a way of having our own stadiums, I should say. Is it stadii?
I think it is stadium.
This is always going to be a problem that's going to rear its head. And in the past, we've been able to weather those sorts of storms because we've had a lot more clubs.
Yep.
But now one club closing is a massive thing.
Yep.
For the whole sport. It's a massive thing for the riders, for having somewhere to actually ride. I mean, there's quite a few riders this year that have not got places.
Yep.
Staff?
Staff generally are volunteers. So.
Yep.
But yeah. Okay, next one.
I mean,
there's tons, but let's just...
I think Linda's implying that it must be sheer greed if Wolverhampton Council have any decency. People mentioning Wolves could share with Birmingham Speedway. Can't see how that would work with Birmingham Speedway at Perry Bar. Future.
I think that's a no-go for me. Sharing with the Brummies.
Why?
Can't see it. Didn't work with Cradley, did
No.
it?
No, it didn't work with Cradley, but then would it have worked with Cradley if they hadn't also had Wolverhampton to share with, because they preferred Wolverhampton, didn't they?
Right. Well, the other thing is, I mean, it's quite a distance from Cradley. It's quite a distance from Cradley. It's even further from Wolverhampton.
It is. It's not.
It
And
was a
it's
case of,
whether there's a day available for them to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
you would want a Monday, ideally, wouldn't you? Because that's what you're used to.
I mean, I think the owners at Perry Bar tolerate it one night a week. I'm not so sure they'd tolerate it twice a week.
But if it was a case of keeping it alive,
And of course, there's
take any
the whole
day,
thing with the planning as well.
Also, I don't think you're allowed to run a speedway club, 2 speedway clubs at one venue anymore, are you?
I think they have stopped that now, haven't they?
So
why? All speedway is not safe as the sport has not been promoted properly, and it has become a niche sport like karting and kit car racing, and grass track has gone the same way.
So I have to agree partly that I don't think the sport has been promoted properly, and then it's missed big opportunities like when Sky first came aboard and so on. However, there is nothing any promoter, no matter how good or how bad he is, can do about the stadium turning around and saying you can't use it anymore.
Nothing.
It doesn't matter how well, this is a different issue. In many ways, it's a more pressing issue. It's a more dangerous issue. This business of living hand to mouth on the next lease that a lot of clubs have to do. So yeah,
I think long term, certainly for my club, I think the long term, is if they can salvage any possibility of getting a few more years at Mamba, but at the same time putting out feelers to find another site to use.
I mean, it's very sudden, and that's not fair. But I mean, on the plus side, Wolverhampton have got a good support base.
Good support base. I think Chris has always fostered very, very good relationships with the city council as well. And the local MP has already been in contact with him to say that he'll support them as well. So there's a lot of support. It's really quite overwhelming the amount of support that we've had as a club in the last 24 hours since it was announced.
Well, it's big news. I mean, they're one of the biggest clubs, aren't they?
Well, like I said, this
Yeah,
is, as I say, I'm not saying it because it's my club, but this is an absolute huge body blow potentially to Speedway to lose a track that's has been a major venue. I mean, it's up until Bellevue happened, of course, it was the home for the British final. Test matches have been staged there. When England and America used to have the test match, those
I
legendary test
remember
matches
those.
in the 80s and the 90s, there was generally always one at Monmouth every year. So,
Linda's asking whether the council could probably lean on the owners.
well, it's just the owners of the stadium. It's their stadium ultimately. So I don't see, what sort of influence.
If the
can have.
council,
Yeah.
if councils in general had any decency about them, they'd be saying, well, we need to find a place. It's important. It is important.
Yeah. Jeff's asking whether Phil Morris can arrange a meeting with more and more owners to persuade them to change their minds. It's steady income they get from Wolves. Fingers crossed for the right outcome. Yep, it is. It's a steady income, isn't it?
Is it enough of an income? I
think
don't know. Is this? The other thing that I wondered is this more posturing to try and get more money out of the Speedway? But, yeah.
Well, I keep sort of hoping that my phone's going to bong in a minute, and there's going to be another statement on the Wolves website saying, "Ha, fooled you."
Oh,
I don't think it's.
no.
I don't think you would joke about something like this.
It's not April the 1st.
No.
So, yeah.
I've taken a huge number of past Wolves riders on the Wolves Speedway page and suggested a huge farewell meeting and go off with a bang if the fight is lost for Wolves.
Well, I think there would be something like that anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should even think about.
But I'm just keeping our fingers crossed that it's not going to come to that.
Yeah, this Simon says this has been going on for years. Trucks going every year. Once they're gone, it's difficult to get them back.
It is difficult to get them back, but let's just look a little bit on the positive side. Clubs do come back.
Oxford have come back.
Yeah, Birmingham came back twice now.
Workington, of course, have come back this year.
Workington
So,
have come back.
and I have to say, what they've done is tremendous up there.
That's the sort of setup Speedway needs to be looking at doing. What's happening at Workington? That's the sort of thing that.
Well done to the Express and Star.
Oh, yeah, fantastic coverage
They
on
devoted 5 full pages to this story. And I'm informed, says Linda, that already 7,500 people have signed a petition urging the owners to reconsider. That's a great.
That's great. I have signed that, by the way. And if we've got a link to it, we'll shove that up as well.
Yeah. Apparently, from what I've read, the owners want it to be a premium greyhound stadium. Can't understand their thinking. What is a premium greyhound stadium?
I have no idea.
Apparently, one without Speedway.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't make.
Premium greyhound. My family's sport go back to when it started at Monmouth in 1928,
Wow.
and I met my now fiance there when we were kids. So I have posted on the Wolf Speedway and tagged Passable. I think he's. He said that one. Yeah.
He being a she, given
he
the
being a
name,
she show.
well, although
Yeah.
in this day of gender identification, perhaps we shouldn't make that judgment.
Yeah. Wolves did have Cradley share, but the BSP
right,
said they can't allow. I think 2 clubs sharing one track. Yeah. Every club in Speedway should come together and sign a petition to keep Wolves Speedway going. As Tiger fans, we've already signed an online petition. We need this to happen because I think more will follow.
I think there should. There's a lot of credit to be said for each club having a petition that people can actually physically sign on the way in. Just get signatures and addresses and numbers at all the clubs.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said for the old-fashioned way of doing that. So and everybody would sign that. I think.
There was so much optimism at the beginning of this season. That this was going to be Speedway's season.
It was going to be a turnaround season. It felt that way, didn't it?
Yeah, it's sad to see British Speedway slowly being killed off, says Alan Milne.
Yes, it is.
Mark Lennon said to Chris Van Stratton that all promoters are with Wolves and will fight tooth and nail.
They've got to.
Yeah.
They've got to.
Somerset had the perfect based Speedway. Doesn't need big stadia anymore as the crowds don't warrant it. So, doesn't need big space. Yeah, I suppose they don't need big stadia, no. But
Doesn't need a 50,000 seat stadium.
No,
There's no point.
No.
That's right. I wonder the same as Mike, says Ben Clifton. It's all posturing for more money. Is it all posturing for more money? He says.
I'm not convinced it is.
It would be nice. Would it be nice if it was? I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was. But it doesn't feel like it.
When Sky Sports were funding Speedway silly money in the 90s, it was a huge opportunity for promoters to put that money back into Speedway's infrastructure to sustain its future. Sadly, it lined promoters' pockets and riders were being paid silly money.
I've said that repeatedly. That when Sky got that deal to show Speedway in from 1999, it was a massive opportunity that Speedway had, and it just completely missed it.
Yep. They thought, okay, we've got the cash cow, and the cash cow is going to stay.
Yep.
Oh, damn.
Sadly, it's not important to councils as it's such a minority sport.
I don't believe that, and I think if we shout loud enough, that they will realise, because they support what you really minority sports.
Yeah.
You know, that they just do, and I don't accept that. I won't accept that, and we shouldn't. None of us should accept that. We should all now be writing, not just to Wolverhampton Council, but to our own councils and saying, we don't want this to happen to our team.
Yeah.
Get your fingers out. We should be writing to our MPs.
Writing's been on the wall for years. Clubs closing. 10 years ago, the powers to be should have implemented a plan for clubs to buy their own track and facilities. Yeah, I suppose with hindsight.
I don't think anybody needed hindsight to see this coming from 10 years ago.
No. But even 10 years ago, could anybody have bought their own track?
No, but then again, you say that Somerset did exactly that.
Yeah.
You don't buy the track, do you?
No.
You buy the land.
The land, yeah.
The land that it's on.
Yeah, the Somerset promotion owned the land and the stadium, yet they were quick to accept an offer to buy it all off them. Mum's made. Money talks, doesn't it? I suppose. Yeah. When I went down to Perry Bar in 1971, it's always said, and I'll go back to it, it always said no betting on the programme. Now a betting firm wants to do this. The profits they have made from Wolves regarding the comments on the petition I signed yesterday, one person got it spot on. Speedway was there before the landlords. It's cultural vandalism for them to remove it. Well put.
Speedway was there before the dogs, as far as I'm aware.
Really?
Yeah. Sure
And at Perry Bar.
Yeah.
And at Perry Bar.
Wasn't it the same at All Green as well?
I think so. Might have been.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Like the idea of signing the petition at the gates to stadiums. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Can't we get the BSPA involved and get this at all stadiums? I think so.
Well, I think I know Birmingham have done one as well. They've obviously put a link on their website to the online petition. I know Bellevue obviously have done.
But a lot of people find that awkward to do.
Yeah.
It's never it's never straightforward to sign these online petitions.
Yeah.
But it's just not. Whereas if you can just turn up and, oh yeah, I'll sign that.
Yeah.
And you obviously name, address, possibly telephone number. Numbers, it's a numbers game.
It definitely is. Well done to Rachel. The petition poster that is on the Wolf Speedway page, myself and my partner have printed it off and took it to work and stuck it up to encourage people to sign it. My team was Swindon, no support from council there, says Rich Thomas.
Yeah.
I was the same as well about Bradford. No interest in Bradford Jukes returning to Oddsworn despite others getting involved, including ex-riders. It still hasn't happened. Quite the saying, not enough interest. So anyone going up against local councils are well and truly up against it.
And this is the thing that they're not. If they can turn around and say not enough interest, the only people that can show them that there is enough interest is us.
Yeah,
we are the only, and it's a numbers game. We should all be writing our councils, our individual councils this week, and we should all be saying, "Don't let this happen to my sport here." And explaining why it's so important. And let me, for those of that they're out there that don't understand why it's so important. Sport is important, but Speedway is important because there are people out there that can afford to go to Speedway but can't afford to go to football.
Yeah.
That can't afford to travel very far. That might live on their own, or might be elderly, or might have young children, or a number of things, and it's all so important. It gives people meaning to their lives. That's what sport does.
Yep.
I'm getting a bit passionate here, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
Calm
that's
down,
what
calm
it
down.
does. It gives meaning to people's lives, and that is why it is so important.
It's about making friends as well. I've made loads of friends at Wolves in
Yeah.
the years that I've been going. Friends I've known for over 25 years.
Yeah.
You know.
It gives meaning to life.
Yep.
Yes, I think it's the same with all sports. It's all
Well, that's
sports,
why I didn't single out
yeah.
Speedway.
Yeah.
But, you know, if your sport is Speedway, am I going to go and watch Aston Villa if Birmingham Speedway goes? Well, I'll tell you, no, I'm not going to. I'm not interested. I love my Speedway. You know, and I would probably, if Birmingham closed, I possibly would go and watch Wolverhampton. Well, not now, maybe. You know, but, you know, so...
Yeah.
Anyway.
Who will be the closest team?
To Birmingham. Leicester.
Leicester, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the league that we're in, Oxford.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a distance, isn't it?
It's just ridiculous. When we used to have Wolverhampton, we used to have Coventry, we
Coventry,
used to have Leicester,
Cradley, yeah.
Cradley, Tamworth.
There needs to be some sort of government legislation to safeguard sports stadia from greedy property developers. For example, Perry Barr Stadium was given as a gift to the city by the Alexander family, conditional on it always being a sports venue. Yet these conditions seem to be overturned. I think it says easily, yeah. There's enough interest in Coventry and the Rugby Council sat up in the next planning meeting. Speedway fans can use their voice. Sometimes large protests like at football may be required to make council sit up, says Craig Smith.
It also gets it in the papers. It gets it on the news.
Papers, that's right.
Just look let's just look what happened at the snooker.
Yeah.
Yesterday. So you know, and I think the only time Birmingham was on the telly was when we had a protest outside Halfhurst.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
If there's enough signatures in the petition, then they can take it to the government. We need at least 10,000. I think it's more than 10,000 to take it to the council and the government. Says Rachel. Posted 2020, there are 340,000 problem gamblers in Great Britain, according to the industry regulator, the Gambling Commission. What reference is that to?
I presume to gambling at Greyhounds.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, gambling full stop, I think, really.
Oh, it's busy on the show box tonight. Again, when Birmingham City Council approved a planning consent to destroy Hall Green Stadium, the planning officer stressed in his speech that it was not a loss to the Greyhound patrons because they could still go to Perry Barr, which he stated was a protected venue. Now it seems the statement is meaningless.
Shall we talk about Speedway for a bit?
We've caught up.
We've caught up with everybody.
41
we ought to
minutes.
get our predictions up as
41
well,
minutes.
Well, we need to, but there's been a few surprise results, hasn't
Just a
there?
bit, yeah.
Yeah, Ipswich and Leicester have been.
Ipswich obviously losing against Bellevue was a surprise, yeah. So.
Yeah, and Ipswich, yeah. Because Bellevue didn't start great, but they seem to have found their mojo.
Yep. Well, Peterborough have got real problems, haven't they? So obviously with the loss of Nicky Pedersen.
Yeah, we was talking about that last week as well, saying he'll be gone by, somebody said June.
Yep, and he was actually gone by April.
April,
So.
yeah.
Have you got the table, Chris?
Sorry, I haven't. No, sorry, no, I haven't.
Good God.
I've been a bit busy. I'll get it up. Give us a couple of minutes.
That's the worst excuse I've ever heard. I've been a bit busy.
I didn't say it in that voice.
Yeah. No, I did. Didn't you hear me?
Yeah, I have been a bit busy now. Yeah, no. So
While he's doing that, shall we start going through the fixtures for this week?
Yeah,
then?
why not?
Why not?
And everybody's going to say Wolverhampton's going to win everything.
I hope so. Okay, let's start off with tomorrow. Knockout Cup quarter-final, first leg, Oxford against Edinburgh.
Well, I would say it's your go to go first. Well, if you go first with this one, then you've got time.
all right. What was it? Oxford against
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh by 4.
Okay.
I'm going to say Oxford by 4.
I'm going to say Oxford by 6.
Okie dokie. And the next one.
I do apologise, I've looked at the wrong week. I'm all over the place. So scrap that one.
Oh,
Poole
okay.
against the first one's. Do apologise. Poole against Plymouth.
Poole versus Plymouth.
Yep.
Try again, Chris.
Poole by 6.
Poole by 14.
I've gone Poole by 12.
Okay.
Okay, next up is Birmingham against Scunthorpe. Only match for the Brummies.
I'm going to say Birmingham by 10.
I've gone Birmingham by 6.
And Chris is going to go.
Birmingham by 6.
He's just going to copy you now while he's busy doing this.
Okay, next up, on Thursday we won't be doing the Oxford Swindon Challenge, although obviously we do wish Swindon the best of luck. Ipswich against Sheffield, early big match in the top flight.
Ipswich versus Sheffield. That's up to you, Matt.
Ipswich by 4.
Chris.
Ipswich by 6.
Ipswich by 8.
I'm good at multitasking here, aren't I?
You're just chucking numbers out,
Incredible.
aren't you? Let's be
Incredible.
honest about
This
it.
will be an interesting one. Leicester against Bellevue.
And it's up to you, Chris.
Bellevue by 4.
Leicester by 8.
I've gone Leicester by 4. Okay, next up is Edinburgh against Berwick in the BSN series.
That's me, isn't it? Edinburgh by 10.
I've gone Edinburgh by 14.
I'll go Edinburgh by 8.
Okay, next up is Scunthorpe against Birmingham on Friday.
I'm
so
going to
it's-
say Scunthorpe by 8.
That's what I've gone for as well. Scunthorpe by 8.
Which gives Birmingham the bonus point.
Yeah.
I'll go Scunthorpe by 6 then. Crikey, I'm right down the bottom here.
Okay. Saturday, Berwick against Edinburgh, also in the BSN series.
Berwick versus Edinburgh, and that's up to you again, Chris.
Berwick versus Edinburgh. I'll go Edinburgh by 6.
Who was it against Edinburgh? I put Birmingham.
Berwick.
I can't write. I'll say Berwick by 4.
I'll go for a draw on that one.
Good God, this has never happened before.
know,
You've
yeah.
gone for a draw and I
Another
haven't.
draw.
Right.
Monday, well, what a significance this one takes on then. Wolves against Leicester.
Oh, God.
It's up to me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wolverhampton by 18. I'm just going to,
You're going to stick with that?
Yes, I'm sticking with it.
I've gone Wolves by 6 on that one. I think it'll be a tough one, that one.
I'll go
Leicester
Wolves
really
by
good start.
10. For a laugh.
It's going to be a bit of an emotional night, I think, really, with probably just as well, really, there was no meeting on Monday, because I think the mood would have been one of real deflation.
I don't think he would have put it out if it had been a meeting.
I don't think he would have done, to be honest, no. Next up is Bellevue against Peterborough.
And this is you, Matt.
Bellevue by 18.
I'll go Bellevue by 10.
Bellevue by 20.
Okay,
Nobody's given Peterborough much of a chance.
not really.
Although
Let's-
they seem to have done better since Pedersen's gone.
Yeah, they didn't do so well on Monday, did they, against Bellevue? Okay, next up is the second leg of the Knockout Cup quarter-final in the Premiership, Kings Lynn against Sheffield. Because I think is it a 30-point lead Kings Lynn got to make it from the first leg.
Kings Lynn by 4.
Sheffield by 10.
I've gone Sheffield by 10 as well. Although Crystal Customers certainly found his mojo against us.
It did, didn't
with
it?
a 15-point maximum. And the last one in the BSN series is Plymouth against Poole.
And that's me. And I'm going to say Plymouth by 2.
Plymouth by 8 also.
I'll go Poole by 2.
Interesting.
Okay. So is the table up now then?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, you can have a look at that.
I'm not on the bottom anymore.
Yeah, we've got a new player, so...
Yeah, thank you, Kyle.
Oh, well done, Carl. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, you've doubled your lead out. Well, I'm not happy.
yeah. So we got John Bird at the top, followed by Ben Clifton, Andrew Garner, Bradley Gray, Daniel Lynn, Kev Kearney, Elliot Hunt,
What's
Nick
the-
Matthews, Brian Book is steaming into 9th place, and our current champion Simon Corbett
What's the
is
matter
in
with this?
10th.
What's the matter, Simon?
I'm not even the best tipster in my family, am I? So.
It's early days. It's early days.
Well,
I mean,
you are the
look at
best
us.
tipster in this room
Yeah.
at the moment.
Well, where am I? I'm 16th at the moment, so it's not really just stuck in mid-table mediocrity.
I mean, there's only 4 points separate the top till the 10th to the 10th. So, you know, early days. He who laughs last, laughs the laughest.
Yep.
That's what they say.
Okay. Right, we got any more comments come up on the...
Is there a match tonight, by the way?
Yes, there is actually.
I think these are all comments regarding predictions.
Yeah.
Hang on. We know we got to that one. I believe that soft patch at Peterborough in turn 2 was still causing issues last
Yeah,
night.
I guess so, yeah.
Says Craig's me. And I think we've caught up with our comments as well. If anything comes up, I shall give you a nod.
Well, I think it's time for positivity now.
Go on then.
So get yourselves out there, guys. Watch your team. Support your team.
Yeah, it's finished, by the way, at Plymouth 42-48 in favour of Oxford.
Okay.
So an away win. So Scott Nichols top scored for the Cheetahs with 13 from 5. Sam Masters 12 and 2 from 5. Cameron Heaps 5 from 4. Jordan Jenkins 3 from 4. Lewis Kerr 8 from 4. Henry Atkins 6 from 5. And Luke Killeen 1 from 3. And for Plymouth, let's have a look. Harris scored 10, Jilks 4, Paul Stott 5 and 1, Ben Barker 7 and 1, Richie Worrell 10 and 1, Turner 5 and 1, and Trigg 1. So fairly comfortable win. It was quite close during the meeting there, but in fact it was all scores were level going into heat number 13. Never really much more than a point in it between them, 2 points in it between them, but a 5-1 and a 4-2 in the last race, just taking the points in favour of Oxford.
Okay. They've started better this year, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. They've had a good start.
I'm hoping I am encouraged at Birmingham by the scores that I'm seeing Justin Sedgman
Get in. Yeah.
getting in at the moment. And the first bit of James Pearson's start at Bellevue as well. He didn't do so good at
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Although it's a tricky track,
It is,
obviously,
yeah,
in fairness.
yeah.
So.
Excuse my pronunciation. Is it Schmarslik?
Schmarslik.
Looks red hot this season, says Simon Corbett.
Oh, somebody put him out. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. We're coming up towards the start of the GPs, aren't we now?
We're not far away.
So maybe we'll start looking at those from next week.
Yep.
But,
It's in a couple of weeks, I think, the first GP. Might even be in a week on Saturday.
Ty Woffington's been talking a good race recently.
Yeah, he needs a big season, doesn't he, Ty?
He does,
Because he's
yeah.
not really been anywhere near the levels that he should have been in the last 2 or 3 years. But obviously he's gone back to Australia last winter, I think. First time he's been able to do that in a couple of years because of COVID, of course. So hopefully that will stand him in good stead for the new season.
Rich Thomas says KK's still here in June. That's going to run and run. What's Robert Greenwood got to say? Because I can't see all that.
Bend to Army. Give us a shout out. Bring in the atmosphere wherever we go. You'll definitely hear us soon at Wolves.
29th of April, the first GP's in Prague.
If Speedway is a dying sport, let's sell tickets for the Louis Carr versus
Kerr versus Palm
the rematch.
I don't think you get much for that. Handbags, wasn't it?
Just a bit, yeah. Big surprise really was obviously Bellevue after a terrible result at Monmouth on the Monday, getting a win at Kings Lynn.
Mm.
If you had to stick your money on it, this happening to another Speedway club, is there a certain club that you would look at thinking, that don't look good?
I'm not even going to go there.
No, I don't think it's worth going there, is it?
No.
I mean, like, there is.
I mean, how likely is it? I mean, I'm just saying generally, is it likely that it could happen to other Speedway clubs right now?
It could happen just like in the flick of a switch.
This has happened just like that.
That's the problem. While you are in a situation where you are using borrowed stadium, it's not your stadium. You're there at the behest of somebody else.
Yeah.
That can be turned around in a flick of a switch. I mean, if it can happen to Coventry,
Yep, we were a staple of Speedway for so many
if it
years.
can happen to Coventry, that's when we should have all been going, oh,
Yeah.
we need to sort this out. I hope it's not, and we need to look at, and this is where Phil Morris could earn his
Corn.
corn, and not with lobbying the council and all that. I don't think they would see him as having any clout. The council, I mean, he needs to turn things around in the sense of we've got to start looking at how we get our own stadium.
Yeah.
We've got to put a plan in place for that.
Sport England need to be involved in that, really,
Yeah,
don't they?
that needs to be sorted out.
Or maybe even a sort of a concrete agreement with these stadiums that are being shared. Because at the moment it seems like a contract is worth...
Well,
zilch.
no, because that's not true. The contract is worth everything, but they're short contracts. They're 3 years.
Yeah.
Birmingham had a 10-year contract, but I don't think that's what we've got now. I think it's probably might even only be a 1 year.
1 year rolling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, surely there's got to be a notice. You know what I mean? There's got to be some sort of long notice.
Why has the...
Well, look at Stoke. Stoke were given, before their last match of the season, they were told, you're out, basically.
And this is the problem in a nutshell.
Coventry were given 3 years from when Brandon Estates bought the stadium and being told you'll be out in 3 years. Bradley, of course, years ago were told you're out straight away, and then they managed to get a 1 year deal for Dudley Wood to race there in 95.
There is a slight advantage that Speedway's got over Speedway 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not really, I don't think, so important for your Speedway, for your track to be situated in the middle of a city. It can be on the outskirts. People travel to things all the time now.
Yeah.
Travel is easy now.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, I don't think it would have that great an impact on Birmingham if we had a track that was, I don't know, at the top of my head, it was somewhere around about Solihull, because there's quite a lot of free ground from what I can see, the Greenbelt and so on.
NEC way,
NEC would be a great place to put a
Birmingham
speedway.
Airport, yeah.
Would be a great place to put a speedway track,
Apart from
wouldn't
that,
it?
there's a good catchment area as
Because
well.
you can get there easy enough.
Yeah.
And if it's our own ground, I don't care. If I'm going to watch Speedway, I do not care if I've got a roof over my head as long as it's not raining. I don't care. I don't care about all those things. I care about the Speedway being good. So if you get the track right, that's like Somerset did.
Yeah.
You can put up temporary stands as well. That's a way forward. Again, what Somerset started with.
Just build it up slowly over a period of time, as I say. Somerset did it.
That's that's the plan. That's the way it should be done. So I don't know whether Phil listens to this show. He used to.
Yeah.
Over to you, Phil. What are you going to do about it?
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure. But I tell you what, if your role was created for something, it was created to save Speedway.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Sport England need council backing for stadiums to be built. Bellevue were lucky as city owners, Etihad campus.
Can I just come back to what that point? We do need stadiums.
Yep.
We need land and we need a track. The rest happens over time.
Yep.
We don't need stadiums. We need a wall, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah, but the clubs will need an income.
Yeah. So we have the land, we have the track. You don't need to build a stadium. When I think of stadium, I think of Perry Bar. I think of Wolverhampton. I think, I don't think of, Somerset. I don't think of Buxton. I don't think of, that they're not what you would call stadiums.
There's nothing there, is there? So.
And I think that's what you start with.
You
build it from there.
I think it's a shame that clubs can't share stadiums, because I think it'd be a great idea to have 5 or 6 stadiums around the country in a prominent area, where clubs from that area could share the one super stadium or super wall.
I'm not against that as an idea.
No.
I'm not against that as an idea. I mean, that would be a way of getting maximum out of all the stadiums. I'm using the word stadium now, but the tracks,
Yeah.
I'm certainly not averse to that, but it has to be done properly and it has to be done with the support of the fans. And we've got to be a little bit more, as fans, we've got to be not too precious.
Not precious.
That was really quite good.
Be practicing.
Stand up for ourselves.
So anyway,
It's a shame. It's been a bit of a downbeat show, but
it couldn't help be anything but.
We've had a few of them actually over the years, to be honest.
Yes, we have. We have.
Over the last 10 years, 12 years. Oh, crikey.
But I'm going to get back now to watching my club tomorrow and enjoy that, because I don't know how long it's going to be there for.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. I'm going to love my Speedway tomorrow. Win, lose or draw. God, we better bloody win. Lawrence, we better bloody win.
I don't think you can say bloody, can you? Well,
It's not quite 9 o'clock yet, so. If they said it 30 seconds later, it would have been.
You never could tell the time. Get Coventry back, Bradford back, keep Wolves, Crawley back, simple.
Cradley, I think, Robert, he's there.
Yeah, Cradley, I think it means.
Yeah, lovely. It'd be great. And the support's there at Coventry, the support's there at Bradford, the support's there at Wolves, the support's definitely there at Cradley.
Definitely.
That's not the problem.
But it doesn't mean anything, unfortunately.
This sport that has little interest. I nearly swore then.
Yeah. Well, I think my intro is going to work this week. So
Yay. Okay.
So
Listen, everybody. Hopefully we will be back with a more upbeat show next week.
Yep.
Hopefully Wolves will have won by 18 points against Leicester.
Just want to say as well, just continues thank you to everybody who's obviously offered us support since the news broke yesterday.
The Speedway family is up and running.
Yeah. Whilst it's still there, we're still going to fight and we've still got a chance.
Absolutely. Keep the faith. See you all, guys, next week. Take care. Enjoy your sport.
Goodbye.
Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Webby, GA.